Please rise and join me for the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll begin with celebrating our successes. And first of all, we have from the Freeborn County Family Services Collaborative, Lana Howell.
Well, good evening.
Kathy, can you turn that camera on so that people on TV can see you?
Sure. This is Lana Howell. This is who we just presented the award to, so, or the certificate. So anyhow, just I really appreciate her work.
I just want to say thank you. Like Kathy said, I am an alumni, so it's been a privilege to come back and work in Albert Lea and to work with all of you and former teachers and just community members that I've known over the years, and to be a part of that work now, to help raise children and to help them grow like I have, and hopefully have them come back and stay as well in our community. So it's been an honor, and I thank you for this.
On behalf of the board, Lana, I want to say thank you, and also it's great to have alumni come back to Albert Lea. It's a great place to live, so thank you. Next, under celebrating our successes, we have Valerie and Beth for workforce development.
Okay. Hello. All right, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for having us tonight. Val and I work for an organization called Workforce Development Incorporated. So we are a private nonprofit that serves 10 counties in southeast Minnesota. So basically Faribault South, and then Albert Lea, everywhere over except for Winona. And we do everything jobs related. Val is our placement specialist here in Freeborn County, and one of the coolest programs that we get to work with is called Best Places to Work. And Val's going to talk a little bit about Best Places to Work and the Albert Lea School District.
Thank you. If you haven't noticed, I saw the banner when we came in downstairs, and I assume they're at the other buildings yet, are they? All right. I was so excited. Well, I was surprised first when we get a list as the time clicks away, and I'm like, Albert Lea Schools, I haven't really talked to Jim. And the next thing I know, I said, what's up? And he said, we're doing it. And I was so excited. And I was even more excited when you guys were recognized as one of the best places to work in southeast Minnesota. Just a couple points on this. We offer this program, we've done it, I believe, 8 or 9 years now. We've always had honorees out of Freeborn County, so that's a feather for our county cap. We want to help job seekers and businesses find each other. And we know that businesses have been told during interviews for potential hires that, well, I see this Best Places to Work thing on your website for a couple, 3 years or more. It must be something good going on here, the logo is yours to use in all kinds of advertising, and I know Jim and Ashley have been working with the person from Florida, Jerry Hoffner, runs the company that runs this program. 3 employee groups. It's broken down in 3 sizes, 0 to 75, 75 to 200, and over 200. And that was another thing that blew me away when I found out how many numbers Jim had to crunch. It's like, wow, you have a lot of employees. The recognition comes based on how you rank on 40 different questions. 50% of those questions it's all data, so it's turnover, growth, training, and promotion. 30% of it is benefits, and then the narrative questions that they ask. The other 20% are different things that fit within that. Some of the things I want to congratulate you on: turnover. The average turnover in southeast Minnesota is 21.9%. You're at 15.5. That's awesome. This is an amazing one, too. Growth, 4.7%. The average growth across the board is 1.1%. Definitely a plus. Training dollars, which is a very difficult thing to capture the first time you enter, and also very difficult considering the number of employees that he's had to work with. The training dollars per employee that the district spent was documented at $697, which is probably underestimated yet. And Jim and I talked in the meeting, and Lori, about other ways to grab some of that. The average for a large employer was 528. So, training, growth, turnover, all those things, you're at the top of the mark and you're where you should be. Very pleased. And I hope I see you again next year in it. So, is there any questions about it?
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Val, for all your work also on the Albert Lea Greater Education Project. So we've gotten to know each other a little bit there, but this is a great program, and I'd like to congratulate our staff for, when it comes right down to it, it's our staff that has accomplished this, so congratulations to them. Next, we'll have our open forum. Is there anyone that would like to come forward to address the board at this time? Okay. We'll move on to today's agenda, and this is an action item for approval of the agenda. Is there a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second to the motion? Okay. The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to reports. Dr. Funk. I thought.
Consent agenda first.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Okay, the consent items. We have several there, and I think everyone's had time to review that. Is there a motion to approve them? Okay, the motion's been made. Is there a second? Second. Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent items signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to reports. Dr. Funk.
Just a couple of quick things tonight. Janice will probably say the same thing here, but we have Wind Down Wednesday occurring on this Wednesday, is the first one of the year. And we'll have the tent set up, and you can probably give specifics on times and stuff like that. Then just a reminder that there's only one board meeting in July. It's the 1 month a year when we just have the one meeting, and that'll be the regular meeting on the 17th. And that also happens to be the 1 week I have to be at Camp Ripley this summer, so I'll either be beaming in or I won't, depending on what's happening up at Camp Ripley. So that's my report for tonight.
We don't have any student board members here, so we'll move on to school board reports. And if I remember last time, I started with Neil, so I'll start with Angie this time.
I don't think I have anything to report.
Just went to the senior grad party and was asked to be in the dunk tank, and so got dunked a lot in the 40-degree water, so I appreciate being asked, so it was fun. That's it.
I just had some discussion with several people in the last weeks with a letter that I received on human sex trafficking, and I'll bring something to the board at a later date.
I did not attend the after graduation party, but I was approached to be in the dunk tank, a request which I respectfully declined. I've been there, and it's not pleasant. It's been my privilege to be a member of the committee that selected, as of today, our next head hockey coach. I'm not at liberty to divulge who that person is, but the process went well. And I'm hoping that we can all move forward and get behind the person that is selected. And I would also like to publicly thank all of those people who were candidates for the position. I've been a candidate for positions for which I interviewed and was not chosen, and it's a painful thing. And they were good candidates. And it is my hope that they will move on and get behind the person that was chosen and pick themselves up, brush themselves off, and start all over again.
Okay, thank you. Janice Jeffrey, the teacher report.
Thank you. Hi, I'm a teacher at the high school. I teach English. I also was going to talk about Wind Down Wednesday. It's an ALEA event in conjunction with the Albert Lea School District that we do to promote literacy in the community. There'll be some origami there, bookmark creation, there's read-alouds, and then there's free books for students or kids that show up at the tent. So we're looking forward to that and all of the Wind Down Wednesday events this summer.
Thank you. I think I guess we had discussed this in one of our ALEA meetings, that was something that the staff wanted to do to promote the district, and so we thank you for that. Then moving on to operations, the 17-18 budget. Lori.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Funk, for your consideration would be approval of the 17-18 original budget. The budget by statute does need to be approved before July 1, and so I'm bringing that to you. This budget reflects the legislative approved formulas. For example, the Gen Ed formula, the basic category increased by 2%. So that's probably one of the most talked about items. But there are also some other things, such as legislature also approved and permanently rolled in our Comp Ed pilot grant. That's reflected here. It also reflects our ADSYS grant and our VPK grant, also ongoing, for example, which were kind of unique topics talked about this spring. And so Ashley already has the the listing of numbers in front of you. Just a couple things I wanted to point out. With this budget, we do have, as I mentioned, the new funding formula. We are funded on the number of students we serve, and the enrollment projection was reflecting an increase of 62 students in average daily membership. So that increase of revenue, that those additional students are reflected here. And in the expenditure budget, I do have updated figures for a variety of things, some insurance pieces, estimated settlement amounts, and so a new updated amount for revenues, as I mentioned, also an estimate on expenses, and also reflects the staffing plan that was put together this spring. And there were some, as you can imagine, with the increase of enrollment, we also had a bubble of students moving up to the high school, and so it does reflect the additional staffing that was realigned for that type of enrollment shift, if you will. One thing I want to point out too, if Ashley could highlight, under the unassigned general fund, in that category, you'll see that the revenues compared to expense in that particular line item is showing a gain of $475,000. And that is reflective of a couple things here. As you may recall, in the amended budget for the prior year, 16-17, in the spring, we amended it for Chromebook purchase. And so this gain of the $475,000, a bulk of that is due to replenishing, if you will, the unassigned general fund to compensate for that early purchase. It was a timing issue. And also with the fund balance target in the fund balance policy being stated at 14%, we're projecting that the fund balance for that particular line item of unassigned general fund, the numbers reflect 13.7%, so close to 14%. And so very close to the board target, just want to point that out. And so those are kind of some unique things in the general fund I just wanted to point out. Food service is budgeting a profit of $85,000. In community service fund, one thing I wanted to point out there is there will be some increases in some of the categorical aids there, and MDE had not calc'd those yet. So when I bring the amended budget back to the board in January or February, it will show a higher amount in some of the categories, such as ECFE, school readiness, that type of thing. And so although right now they are showing some deficit spending, it will be improved with the next version. In community ed, that's often the case. Sometimes they build up their fund balance depending on how many sessions they hold or what the enrollments are in various courses and classes will drive how their budget actually ends up. And they are just planning to spend down some of their fund balance. That's very typical in community ed. So that's pretty much a normal level there. And another thing I just want to mention, that in the building construction fund, you'll see that we will be fully depleting that. That's from the bond from 2014, the Lakeview HVAC project. We have one last piece of equipment that's being purchased and paid for. It'll be paid for beginning of August. And then that fund will be totally completed, and the 17-18 year will be the last. You'll see that in the audit report, then it'll be closed out for that. Those are basically the highlights. Are there any questions?
Any questions? So this is an action item to approve. Okay, the motion's been made. Is there a second to the motion? Second. Okay, motion's been seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving 17-18 budget as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to safe and healthy schools. Jim Querum.
So we have the third and final reading. It becomes an action item for the changes to the wellness policy. We've had 2 readings prior. I have not received any additional clarifications or questions on it, but I would entertain that if you have that.
Okay, the motion's been made to approve the policy. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the wellness policy for the final reading signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have Chartwell's Food Service, Doyle Forster.
Good evening.
Are you ready?
Ready. We're just going to do a food service update for you today. I'm Katie Bezette. I support Doyle. I'm the district manager for this area. One of the first things we wanted to show you was something that they had asked for in the past. I think, Dave, you referenced this, kind of like where are the meals at from, like, you know, when Chartwell's took over to currently. And you can see that breakfast has grown significantly, due mostly to adding Hawthorne and Halverson last year. You know, we did that pilot, and then this year we've had a whole year of data. The participation is held at those 2 sites. It's a really wonderful program, taking care of the kids. You can see that, you know, we went from serving about 460 breakfasts a day to now we're doing just under 1,000, about 990. These don't have the exact same days of service, so you know, I'm going to give you those numbers. And then if you look at lunches, it looks like we're down a little bit on lunches, but actually, again, years of service with weather impact for 2017, we actually have a gain. We've been serving about a little over 20 more meals per day for a total of about 3,500 meals for the year. And there's been a significant shift, which has benefited the district, is our paid meals are down. About a day, about 190, but then the free has gone up about just over 190 and reduced about a little under 20 per day. So Doyle did a survey at the beginning. He actually first he connected with Alice England of Freeborn County, and we had some conversation about trying to secure a SHIP grant. And a big part of that was doing a survey and working the Smarter Lunchroom program. And really fortunate and pleased to announce that he secured for this year just under $14,000 in grant funds. We did 2 surveys. We did a starting survey. We implemented some of the Smarter Lunchroom techniques, worked closely with Alice, kind of in conjunction with the Blue Zone project as well, right, Doyle?
Yeah, it ties in together.
So, and you can see that when we did the survey, we did the same exact survey again in May to make sure that we had, you know, an apples-to-apples comparison, and we saw a slight increase on do you eat fruit for lunch. Had a significant a higher number of students participate in the survey as well, which we thought was great. The thing we're probably the most proud of here is did you eat vegetables at least one time during the day? And we saw almost a 5% increase. And part of that, we hope, is due to some of the things that Doyle and the Southwest Middle School team did. They put a dedicated vegetable bar, salad bar, right before the point of sale. Highlighted, you know, some additional vegetables that maybe the kids hadn't seen before, and named them. That's kind of one of the techniques that Smarter Lunchroom suggests. So, and then you can see fruit. Did you eat fruit 3 times a day or more? And we saw a significant increase there as well. And there's a picture of us taking the survey with some of the middle schoolers there. And at the high school, we did a survey, just kind of at the general program, to look at a next steps piece. And Doyle's looking at kind of refreshing that cafeteria next year. And so we asked a couple of questions. You can see that the participation's a little bit lower. We had some technical difficulties with the Wi-Fi not working that day. We even had the tech guys on site and still had some challenges. You can see that we actually took the tablets around to, our cold lunchers. If the tablets weren't in use from somebody, we went around to the tables. And so we had our cold lunch students as well as our hot lunch students take it pretty equally. We were happy to see that it looks like a fair amount of those students that had bag lunches that day at some point, eat in the cafeteria. The students, when we asked them what they'd like to see more of, they want to see pasta bar and kind of like a Mexican station. So I think you're looking at doing like a rotating concept station, Doyle?
Yeah, we're gonna do, I've already got the menus completed for the fall semester, and we're gonna start with a pasta bar at one of the stations. Then, when we come back in January, we'll switch it to a Mexican station so they don't get bored with it and kind of keep their interest up.
And then their favorite line is the classics line, which serves things kind of like popcorn chicken bowl and, kind of some of those more home style favorites. So that, sometimes that runs as, he'll run that on 2 lines just because it gets so busy. So that was really no surprise. This is something that, when we were here last informally, Dr. Funk had done the presentation, but David asked about this. You asked what the participation was of our approved free and reduced students that are actually eating with us. And you can see at the elementary level for breakfast, it's just under 60% at the elementary of our free students. And for reduced, it's just under 54%. Secondary at breakfast is quite low. One of the things we did try to do was increase that number at the middle school this year with some of those SHIP grant funds. We got a breakfast cart and we positioned it up on the, when the kids are walking the block. Walking the block, I want to make sure I use the right terminology. Tried to pick up some participation there and did the cart and highlighted healthy offerings. And just really didn't pick up much more participation. Are we still doing that? I think we're serving about 30, is it about 30 students? Yeah. About 30 students a day, are staying up there. The majority of the students are coming down to the cafeteria still. So saw a little bit of an uptick. And then you can see for lunch, the numbers are really good and strong. For free at the elementary level, 86%, reduced at just under 78%. And the secondary is just under 82 for free, and for reduced, we're looking at about 75%. And we did look at a couple of years prior history, and there was a little bit of an uptick at the middle school. We've seen an increase in those students, our free and reduced students participating, eating reimbursable meals with us. And the high school was pretty similar, so it was just up 1% or 2.
Quick question on that.
Absolutely.
The schools that Chartwell works with, is that 52.6% about average on overall participation, or is that high, low, middle, where does that fall?
When I look at you up against a school of similar demographic, Dave, it's pretty good. It's rare to see elementary numbers higher than what you've got. Your secondary free is really strong. Usually I see around 70%. So I was really pleased to see that the free was, was over 80, and that we were close to 75% for the reduced. And we need to keep in mind that, some of those students may not be with us for the day. They're out absent. So you need to take that into account too.
That 52.6 number, that's the percent of the district that qualifies for free and reduced, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Overall.
So that's the percent that qualifies, that number on top.
So what's the percentage of overall students that eat lunches in our schools? Is that where you're getting 81 and 74 and all that? So 8 out of 10 kids would be
Of free students.
8 out of 10 of the free students are eating with us.
what about overall?
I didn't track that. I'm sorry, I didn't, oh, okay.
Because I know the 52 is fairly high, isn't it? I mean, as far as for free and reduced for the state. Okay, I'm just curious on overall participation.
Yeah, I didn't.
High school was 72%, I believe.
I was going to say you're paid, yeah.
That's
That's for this, that just ties to the
72%
survey
of the ones that took the
that were
survey
surveyed.
is what that is.
We can get that information for you, Dave. We've got it on the sales form. Well, that's the number of meals served. That doesn't have the participation. We don't have the number of students approved for paid and who's eating with us. And again, you know, we're looking at purely reimbursable meals, and you will have some kids that get, you know, options that don't meet up to a meal, don't meet up and meet the meal pattern. So, but we can get you the overall and the paid alone participation, absolutely. For the volume allowance, this is the money that is credited back to you for the purchases. You can see that you've had significant gains year on year. A lot of that ties to that the purchases have increased, of course, because the number of meals has increased that you're serving. So, we're budgeting around just under 140,000 for 17-18. And then, Doyle, your program highlights for this year?
So the Southwest Middle School, when I worked with Alice, when we brought in the Smarter Lunchroom program, basically that we came in and we completely redid the whole middle school. We put up new signs, we brought in an open-air cooler, we brought in an electric food bar, we just rearranged things, and that came with part of this grant. And the students are really liking it. You know, we are actually going to do, I'm working on it now, we are going to do a before and after consumption of vegetables. We're going to try to do like vegetables and what they ate before November 16 and what they eat now. I'm going through the production records, you know, a big pile of production records like this, but we are going to actually try and come up with if it really improved participation, if it improved vegetable consumption, stuff like that. But it's a really good program, and we're working with Alice on some other stuff this year. The food tasting tables, we started out at the middle school this year. We did all Minnesota apples. And so we had, what, 5 different apples?
5 different kinds of local apples.
And they
along
were
with
all from
cider
within,
samples.
you know, and within Minnesota. And that was a big hit with the middle school students. And the elementary students, we did vegetable tastings because we're going to move the Smarter Lunchroom program to the elementaries next year, so we wanted to kind of prep them for it. And basically what we're going to do with that is put in a miniature refrigerated cart, just like we bought at the middle school, and we'll have fresh fruit and vegetable selections for the students there. The labor and the team training, basically we do training all year long. I do monthly trainings with the associates. Now, I can't do them all at once, so I go around to the buildings and we do trainings. The transition of the labor, Lori speaks about that a lot. As the district associates retire, we're replacing them with Chartwell's associates, and we're doing really good at keeping the labor cost the same as it has been for several years. This year, the new entree selections, we did more pastas at the middle school. The person before me, for some reason, took a lot of the pastas out. We're slowly putting them back in the schools that have the equipment to put them in. Sibley, mainly Sibley, because the food comes out of Southwest and it's so much easier to do like pastas and stuff like that. A couple of those schools, we can't do pasta, but we're working on getting some pre-cooked pastas so we can still do some dishes for them. We did the surveys. And this year was the first year we did a year-end picnics at all school picnics, whoever wanted to eat, anybody that wanted to come in to the picnic. We did it at Lakeview and Sibley. At both schools, they're almost identical for me, for free and reduced and participation and stuff like that. So both of them serve about 270 meals a day for lunch. At Sibley, of course, it was absolute beautiful day out. I mean, you couldn't have beat it. We served 490. And at Lakeview, it was raining that day. We still had it inside, and we still served 470. So it was a big hit. I know Diane's already scheduled for next year. So she picked her date before anybody else could get it.
We're hoping
So-
she'll talk to the other
Yeah.
principals, but yeah, it was, I had the opportunity to work the Lakeview, and it was kind of hard to see it get moved back in at the last minute, but, you know, the principal did a really nice job. He created a lot of excitement. The parents still came, and younger siblings came, and I even saw several parents eat twice, because, you know, they have 2 children in, so it was kind of fun to see them come back through the line, and support the program, and, you know, and their kids were just thrilled to see them. It was really, really fun to see. So we're hoping that all the elementaries will participate next year, and that we have beautiful weather. Today was the first day of summer school, so, you know, anybody that you know is looking for a meal under the age of 18, direct them to Southwest or to Halverson. We served a couple of 100 kids today for lunch. This is just one of the team trainings that we were doing a diversity and inclusion exercise, and, you know, so we were talking with the ladies and, you know, about what they bring to the table and what they bring to the job and to the other people on their team. And we ended up, you can see we spelled Albert Lee with a lot of the things that they came up with and that they picked. And I told Lori it was kind of funny to see the progression, because when we first started this, I didn't put the pictures up, but some of them are holding their signs above their heads and were saying they wouldn't get their picture taken. And it went from that to them picking the spots where we would pose, you know. Then all of a sudden they were on the stairs and everybody had a smile on their face. So it was nice to see that that they kind of embraced it and took some ownership with it. So, any questions for us today? Other than, you know, we'll get you the overall participation.
Just one other one. Is there ever any tracking done of wasted food? I mean, 10 pounds a day, 20 pounds. I don't imagine anyone wants to set up a scale to do it, but I just wondered if there was ever anything through the organization that does that.
We do have a program that's just been refreshed, and I just got the information about it the end of the spring semester. So we're going to be putting it, I'm going to start out with it at the high school and middle school. And basically what you do is
It's more back of the house, though.
it's
the
more,
program that we
and what it
have.
does is it gives the ladies, it starts putting in their mind when they start filling these clear buckets, it's big clear buckets. So instead of just dumping it in a dark trash, waste can, they start putting it in this bucket and start thinking, geez, that's a lot. And I don't know, did they assign, with this new program, did they assign a dollar value to it? So
I think they do assign a dollar value to the courts, you know, and so that helps us manage it from a back of the house perspective. And then, you know, really all we do with the associates, Dave, is, you know, we kind of, you know, we do offer versus serve. We didn't used to do offer versus serve in the past for summer. We do it now for all programs. You know, we really strongly encourage the ladies to have the children take ownership of their choices. But as far as the plate waste after it goes through the POS, we have not done anything like that. And I really don't have anything. You know, occasionally I've had like maybe there's like it's part of a class at a school, but Chartwell's doesn't currently have, you know, like a plate waste study that we've done.
Do we have any kind of a program which would enhance the education of students relative to food disposal and the utensils they use? I know at colleges, for example, I've been involved in summer camps, and it's rather complicated. They have a place for compost and recycle and paper, and
You do have an
we are
organics program
we are running
here.
a full organics program. So all the plastics that we use are plant-based. Compostables, and we did away with all styrofoam and went to like the heavy-duty paper fiber trays. Everything can be thrown in one dumpster, and the first year I was here, we bought $18,000 worth of plastic silverware, And I did away with that and brought in real silverware again with this organics program. This, it sounds like a ton, but I bought $2,400 worth of silverware this year versus the 15 or 16,000. And, you know, a ton of it goes in the waste cans because that's just what middle school and high school students are gonna do. But still, the price of real silverware at $2,400 versus $15,000 worth of plastic that we're putting into the landfill.
And back to the participation, so there's 72% at the high school participating. What do the other 28 do? Do they do cold lunch or they don't eat? Do we know?
We found out when we did the survey that quite a few of the high school students just don't eat. They, you know, there are some brown baggers, but we were kind of surprised how many even came up and took the survey and said, I don't eat, but I'll do this, you know, I'll do the survey.
And somewhere on, a couple of the students said that they, you know, they have like a work program, you know, that they go to. So I don't know how many students that impacts, but a couple of them told us that, so.
And with the survey, are there any questions that might get at what could cause them to maybe participate more? I know you had what would you like to see more of, but any other ways we can get at that?
We can rearrange our survey. We can make it anything we want. This year, we wanted to take a sample of what they would really like to see to bring in, because if out of the 256 that took the survey, if we can get half of them to eat the pasta bar, and which they asked for, you know, I think 73% of the students that took the survey asked for a pasta bar. So if we can get them to come in and they bring a friend in or something like that, then that ups our participation. But we can get more specific as we do more surveys.
And do you have the feeling that we're doing a good enough job educating our families of the free and reduced, of how the program actually works, and so the kids will know that there's no, no bad reflection that will come on them going through the line?
Right, we've worked super hard this year, and every
With all
opportunity.
the frontline food service staff too, making sure that, you know, we do offer versus serve training every year. You know, we do a refresher and then we do a mid-year refresher. But in addition to that, you know, we really encourage to make sure that they are encouraging the students to grab the fruit and vegetable and not just take a fruit and or a vegetable, you know, that fruit and vegetable bar is theirs with their meal. So if they really like something within reason, you know, they can take a very generous serving of all the fruits and vegetables offered for that day. And, you know, they've done a nice job of adding in composed salads and things like that. So, you know, on any given day, there might be 6 to 8 choices in the fruit and vegetable bar, you know, on the secondary level. A little more limited at the elementary,
But then on the free and reduced applications, we worked with the interpreters this year. We met with them. We made sure that all families understood. We had all the free and reduced applications, you know, so we want you to fill these out. We want you to eat with us. And as a result, you know, when you were giving your presentation, we went up 62 students? Is that, I mean? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we did a lot better this year than we did the year before of making sure that all the families know.
Well, it sounds like you're being very creative and creating opportunities for students and attracting others for the free and reduced lunch. So thanks for your efforts.
Thank you.
And thanks for the report. Good to have that information.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 12, which is our closed session for Minnesota State Statute 13D.05, subdivision 3. It's board evaluation performance of the superintendent. So I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to go into the closed session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries.